Gosh, my back is killing me. At least I get to see the chiropractor today.
Yeah, come on in.
Hey, Dr. Adrian, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Topher. What's going on with you, man?
My back is killing me.
Really?
Yeah.
What the heck you got going on in this backpack?
Well, you know, just the usual stuff.
Oh my God, Topher! What the heck? Are you a stoner?
Guilty.
All right, so here's the deal. Normally for stoners, I do adjustments, or we could do physical therapy. There's a whole myriad of things we could do. We could even do some supplementation, but it seems like you're doing plenty of that.
Yes.
So I think we should just go ahead and just go with the adjustments. What do you think?
Sounds good. What does an adjustment mean?
Something like that girl.
Wendy, Topher, lots of love, live show, music, movies, guest and awesome tunes. It's a show for me and you. It's the one you love to listen to, with words to help improve your life. Oh, helping folks, it's what they do. Oh, laughter's medicine too.
Live from FPTV in downtown Fayetteville, Arkansas, it's the Wendy Lovett Show featuring Topher Kogan and his puppy. Here's Topher.
Hello. Thank you. You can keep clapping through the whole thing. I'll just stand here and take it. Yeah, thank you. Adrian is my new dog. He's not housebroken yet. If anybody knows what to do about that. Not funny. What were we talking about? So I was lamenting to Wendy, which Wendy's right in front of me. You have to believe that. So we're talking about doing a bit where I jump like into the camera because they're telling me to walk this way now for continuity. And so I was like, oh, I should like leap into the camera and then we can do like those old 90s shows and just throw like a dummy at Wendy and then we'll cut in it.
Just throw me at Wendy.
Someone finds it hilarious, thank you. Which I don't know, on camera, is it this way or this way? Because I never know. Like, for the room that is physically right here, does it look like it should be right here on TV? I don't know.
Well, my left's your right.
Okay. In TV news, the debate was last night. How many people saw the debate? Oh my gosh, y'all missed out. It was amazing in the Edge House. Stuff was flying left and right. The dog was going crazy. Elizabeth Warren just was like, she was like, so I saw it best on Twitter, because I'm not going to steal the joke. But basically, if you are, so, you know, like, is everybody caught up on Game of Thrones? Ish. Have you, this is so terrible because it may spoil it. But see, I'm a person, I feel like if it's been a year, you can be spoiled about it because like you don't really care that much about it. Anyway, there's a scene where, I don't even want to spoil it though. I don't know. I'm just nice like that.
Topher.
Oh my gosh.
Spoil it.
Okay. After this, we're going to go get my dog fixed. I don't know. So anyway, it was basically like Elizabeth Warren was like, tell all these people that I killed it because I'm the best. That was just the energy that she was giving off through the whole debate, and it was great. And me and Wendy were talking about it, which we may talk about it more. We were like, Pete Buttigieg, who we are now dubbing Sneaky Pete, Not necessarily because he's sneaky, though he is, but he looks like the character from Mad Comics, Sneaky Pete. Anyway, we were talking about how him and Amy Klobuchar were like two siblings just going back and forth all night. And I was like, well, he was just too scared to like talk about Joe Biden. If you have not noticed by now, you are tuned in to the Wendy Love Edge with Topher Kogan, where health, wellness, music, art, and plant medicine meet, and all of your health choices are your own. In today's episode, our guests are Angie Leek, Ryan Kenaga, and Makin Loaf. Let's get started.
Well, Topher.
Hello, Wendy.
Hello. Last night was actually a lot of fun watching the debate.
It was.
It was. The house was just, buzzing.
Exactly. I have to ask you, were you high?
Was I?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember, actually. But I think you were.
I was high.
Yeah, because,
I was definitely high.
Yeah. So the thing is, before the debate started, of course, in my home, we've been having this ongoing discussion of Bernie versus Elizabeth Warren, right?
Yeah.
And Angela's definitely a Warren fan, like a staunch Warren fan.
Yeah.
And is a little upset that I might not be on the Warren
board.
train, right? So she was absolutely delighted with Elizabeth Warren's performance last night.
I was like, she is getting it. Like, it felt like I was watching the climax in like a political thriller.
Right.
Like, it was just left turns. Like, you could not have written it better. All of her like pivots and comebacks,
But it wasn't like Pete, I felt like he was like the little brother.
On Amy.
Yeah, and he was like the little brother, like you said. But
because I told you, if you notice, he really wouldn't pick at Biden because that was the guy right next to him. Mm-hmm. But he just kept going after Amy, and you said like Amy just like gave in, and she was.
I was
just
upset that she gave in. I felt like if she had just not fed into him, it would have gone away. But I think the issue is that they're both a little more conservative. And so he wanted to show his strength to the people who are a little more conservative but still Democrats. That's what I think. But yeah, Elizabeth Warren was very strong, and just boom, right on top of it. I think her people told her finally to just be herself and not back down, But today on social media, I was a little upset because some people who are either Trumpers or for
Bernie Bros.
Not Bernie, more leaning toward Biden or the more conservative.
Yeah.
Actually, we're saying that Warren wasn't strong and that she didn't initiate the discussion about the non-disclosure agreements with, it just was crazy how people's perception is so different from what actually was right in front of them, But at least it's become much more interesting. I think there were far too many candidates in the beginning, and now it's being narrowed down.
Yes.
It was definitely a lot of fun kind of watching what's unfolding now. And she may have changed my mind. I don't know. I still haven't decided.
Yeah.
I still haven't decided.
And I am happy that it felt like everybody on the stage united against Bloomberg.
Right.
Like from the jump, they were like, okay, we don't like each other, but you need to go.
Right.
Like it was really like it just felt kind of cool to watch. Again, it felt less like watching politics,
Right.
And more like watching like a segment out of like a movie. It was so just fascinating to me.
It was to me too. So we'll see if how the voters feel. Everybody's already started voting here in Northwest Arkansas. People can early vote in other places in the country, and so we'll see what happens. I feel like people, for whatever reason, want to erase Elizabeth Warren. I feel it, just by saying that her performance wasn't what it was, it's erasure, and if she was a man, I don't believe that would have happened. But that's that's my bias, I don't know. But it was definitely really interesting. And this is interesting, so our set has changed a little bit.
Yes.
Trisha has done a phenomenal job. We wanted a little more color in this part of the set, and
Yes.
of course everything she does is repurposed, so this is bubble wrap.
Yeah, yes,
Which
it's a
I
bit
didn't
of a
realize till I was close to it.
Yeah, say it's a bit of a callback to our first set, the second season set
Right.
with would they be ferns?
They were ferns. Yeah.
Yeah, with the ferns. And so this is just, it's like, because the ferns were kind of like at this level.
Right.
And these are just like growing.
They're
and
growing, yeah. It looks like
really,
it's growing behind us.
Yeah.
And this is repurposed from a grow room, actually. Of course, from a legal state.
Yes.
But shipped in from.
Here's the address.
But it's
yeah.
beautiful, and the light is coming off of that. It looks really nice. So
Yes.
I'm excited about that. So have you seen any movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went to the movies and I took my brother to go see it. Was the new Sonic movie.
Oh, okay.
Because we grew up on Sonic. Like that was the first.
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that was the first video game that we really like played together and stuff. So like it meant a lot to us. And I was super happy to see the redesign because when so the movie I think was supposed to come out sometime last year, but with how the graphics looked, like fans were like, "This is awful. This looks terrifying and stupid. Don't do it."
Like in a test group or something?
No, like the movie was about to come out. They
Oh.
put out the trailer for it, and then everybody was like, "This looks awful. We're not going to." So the whole studio was like, "Okay, we're shelving it and we're fixing it."
Wow.
And now the movie is successful. The studio did shut down recently, but because they went bankrupt, I think.
Oh, really?
From the project, I
wow.
think.
Oh, man,
I'm
I
not
didn't
for
know
sure.
that. Wow.
But the movie is very successful, so that counts.
So what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, you know, it's a PG movie.
Is it?
It is.
Why is it PG?
Well, I think because it's like a video game character, and I think. Like, I don't know what age Sonic is supposed to be, but he's supposed to be, like, young. He's not supposed to be, like, cursing and saying,
Okay,
you know,
right.
he's supposed to be, a child's video game. It's
Right.
not for adults, basically. But the movie was very, like, enjoyable, and I didn't realize until later that it was PG, and I was like,
I wonder why.
oh, this movie is like...
Is there violence? Or
No. No, it is video game violence. Wait, did a bunch of people die?
No, this is
I was
violence.
watching some. Well, no. I was watching some movie, and they were just like ripping through cars like on the highway, but not acknowledging that people were in those
the
cars.
right.
It was that new Terminator movie, Terminator Dark Fate, because I was watching it with Angela, and we were like, so all these people are just dead now.
Right. She thought
But
that was too violent. But going back to
was.
Sonic, so on a
Sorry.
scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I'd give it an 8.
Okay.
I'd definitely go see it. If you don't feel like going to the theaters, definitely watch it online. And I think kids would really like it.
Okay. And then Terminator, I know she told me she had to stop watching.
I fell asleep on it.
She said, Topher fell asleep, and I'm full of anxiety because it's so violent.
Yeah, I was like...
So, yeah. So that one, what would you give that one?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Because you didn't see, well,
I
it
didn't
has to
see
be
it.
pretty low. I mean,
Yes.
if you fall asleep and the other person walks out.
Exactly. Terrible movie. You saw a movie recently.
I did. So my friend saw Little Women like 3 times and said it was phenomenal.
Yes.
And
This
then
new version.
The new version.
Yes.
And she brought different friends to see it. She was so excited about it. And so I said to Topher, we've got to watch this movie. My friend said it was so great. I couldn't even follow it. Like, it was so boring that I would I couldn't remember who was who. I would just fall in and out of sleep. It was terrible, terrible. Like 1 or 0 maybe in my mind. But, everyone likes different things, right? So,
Exactly. See, I think Little Women is a testament to the value of an ugly actress. Here's why.
The value of an ugly actress.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's why.
Okay.
All the actresses in that movie are like stunningly beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? And so they tend to blend because you're like, wait, which pretty one has this nonsense
I couldn't remember
problem?
who was who. Yeah.
Hey, see?
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
Nobody has any stakes about themselves.
Right.
See, ugly girls in those times, it was truly life or death if you did not have a man. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah, right.
It's like all 4 of them people are just pretty and like, oh, which Timothy should I go to next?
Right.
Not real problems.
I could not relate to the women at all.
Exactly.
At all. 0. So, yeah, I personally can't recommend that film, but, someone might enjoy it.
I don't know who.
Oh, wow. So what else is going on? How are your lifestyle choices in the last week? Have you been exercising or?
You know, a little bit.
A little bit?
Not a lot, but a little bit. Enough to have like worked up like pants.
Oh, well, that's a movement.
Pant, not like I'm wearing, but like pants as in panting.
Yeah, so you get
Heavy
your
breath.
breathing up a little bit and your
Yes.
blood pressure, I can't talk. Your blood pressure, the dog is barking.
Goodness, shut up, Rufus.
So Angela started doing this thing where we dance at night. She tried to get me to do it last night, and I was super crabby, so I did not do it.
Was I in the house when this was happening?
I don't think you were.
I prefer not to be. Because I just don't want to get roped into dancing.
To the dancing, yeah.
I don't.
I think I'd prefer you not be also.
Thank you.
But if you are, it's okay. I'm still gonna do it. So yeah, for a couple of nights that we just put on some music and we're dancing, and it was great. You know,
that's
she's
good.
It's been hard for me to get back into my routine, and so she's actually been thinking of ways to stimulate that, and I appreciate
That's
that.
nice.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun. Yeah.
How has your no wheat, no fruit been?
So I'm hungry all the time. I'm eating no grains.
You're eating a lot of meat, though.
A lot more meat than
Ever.
than ever, and it's expensive, you know. Although I did, Aldi is pretty good for at least making it a little more affordable.
Yeah.
But no grains at all, no fruit. These were things that came up as allergies and sensitivities on the test that I had, and so I've been sticking to it. But I could eat all day, really. And,
You need to get some jerky.
I
Get
did.
some jerky and nuts. Jerky and peanuts.
So
unsalted.
Right. So nuts actually have a lot of carbs.
I know, but that's kind of good if it fills you up.
Right. It's not
'Cause I
good
think
for someone who's diabetic, though. So I was eating nuts, and my sugars were messed up, and I'm like, man, I'm not eating any bread, any sprouted bread, any grains of any kind,
those
and my
nuts.
sugar is still elevated. It was the nuts, yeah. So I've backed off
That's
on
why
that.
Mr. Peanut had to die. Sorry. Oh my gosh, they
But
should
they
make
brought
a
him
whole
back, right?
bullshit.
They did not bring him back.
Well, they did. Oh no, they did. He's a baby, but he has his full voice.
What?
Like he sounds like he did because he was like, I'm a baby now, but it was like a full like deep man voice.
That is really bizarre.
It's creepy.
I missed that somehow. You talked about it, that Mr. Peanut had died.
Oh, I did.
And then you said they brought him back, but I did not know that now he's a baby.
He was a baby.
So basically he's, what, like reincarnated and come back?
He's like a phoenix. Yes.
All right. Yeah, so
Sorry.
so I nixed most of the nuts, you know, well, a little bit of nuts, but
Yes. Are there some nuts that are better for diabetics?
they all have a lot of carbs. I mean, nuts are good for you generally. It is a fat, though. It's also protein, but it's mainly fat.
Yeah.
And good fat is, you definitely want good fat.
Like
and,
avocados.
And so I have added, avocado is kind of filling, I feel, too. So I keep trying to have avocados in the house and some turkey jerky. And yeah, it's more meat than I've had maybe in my life.
Have you tried drinking more water to fill you up faster?
Yes. So, you know, you're supposed to drink half your body weight in water. And so Angela, actually, one of the things she got me for Valentine's Day is a big water jug to carry around.
I saw it,
Yeah.
yes.
I won't tell you how many I have to fill up or how many ounces it is, but I've been a little better about that.
Yeah,
But,
good.
you know, it's always a challenge. We all have these challenges, and you know, if you have a bad day, you pick it up again. But I will say, for me, cutting out the things that I'm allergic and sensitive to has helped just overall not feeling as tired, not being as puffy. And so it's good to find out those things. And it doesn't mean that I can never have them, but I've cut them out, and I'm taking some enzymes, and then in a few months I'll retest, and I may be able to add some back in. So, and you've eaten all the sprouted bread in the house, so.
Don't call me out like that.
Well, it's good though. I mean, if you can have it, it's much
was
better
delicious.
than
Than wheat.
the regular wheat bread.
Ooh.
Right?
But yeah, oh my goodness. Because there was a while I was like sneaking it because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah, once you have it again,
It's
bread,
addictive.
it's addictive, even though that's better than white flour and
Do you
and
know how many
sugar.
peanut butter sandwiches I have eaten recently?
More than ever, right?
Gosh, yes, more than ever. Because the bread, it's so addictive.
It is, definitely is. Well, I think it's time for our health segment.
All righty.
In our health segment today, our guest is Angie Leek. Angie is a licensed marriage and family therapist, a licensed professional counselor, and a clinical supervisor. She's also a registered yoga teacher. Angie's private practice, Holos Counseling, is located in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Her practice integrates spirituality into psychology, and through this transpersonal lens, she provides spiritually informed psychotherapy, psychedelic integration counseling, and relationship counseling. Welcome to the show, Angie.
Thank you.
I should say welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's wonderful. I think you were on the first season when we were at the radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things have changed a little bit.
I like your new studio.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
built it ourselves.
We are utilitarian. So let's talk a little bit about your practice here. One of the things when I was reviewing back on your bio has to do with the spiritual aspect of your practice, and I think that from looking at that, it seems like you have sort of a different view of how you work with people.
Yeah, so transpersonal counseling incorporates spirituality into psychology, so maybe a little different than a traditional medical model of this is a disease, you're broken, here's the cure, the treatment, let's fix it. It's more, I think when people are trying to make sense of their existence, I think that sometimes goes into the spiritual realm. Why are we here? And
Right,
what do I do about, being here? And
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, so it's back to kind of the basic questions. I think sometimes people may go to counseling because they're having a specific problem in their life. It seems like what you're talking about is kind of, okay, that may be true, maybe we need to talk about that, but let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah, and it also, my practice incorporates a holistic perspective, so taking into account not just their symptoms, but what's your life like? What are your relationships? What's your health? What's your, exercise, nutrition, habits, spiritual practice? Where's your joy?
Right.
Things like that. So
Those are questions today I think people kind of come away from a little bit because they're so busy trying to get by, working, raising families or not, or trying to find relationships. And do you think sometimes bringing it back to these basic questions will help them with the day-to-day?
I think it can, and I think it's important to be open to that if clients want to talk about that, or even to ask and invite them, to talk beyond just their symptoms or their problem-focused, narrative. I know that we all have stories and we all have things we've gone through, and I just think there's a sort of a bigger way to hold their experience than just focusing on that.
So let's move into talking about the psychedelics. So how do you go from psychotherapy and kind of talking about things to using these chemicals to improve your life?
So just backing up a step, we don't have legal access to them yet. We're hoping that changes soon. There's a lot of researchers doing a lot of legwork to help change the scheduling laws, which we believe are incorrect. The Schedule 1 says there's no medical value to this substance, and the data really shows otherwise, that there's tremendous healing potential in working with these substances that help catalyze non-ordinary states of consciousness.
Non-ordinary states of consciousness.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, we have our regular day-to-day thinking mind, and that includes our thoughts. What are we doing? How are we feeling about it? And then when you go into these altered states or non-ordinary states, you may have access to different ways of perceiving your experience. There's a huge range of what that might be like, including what people call hallucinations or, perceptual changes. But it can also be, having access to thoughts or feelings or memories, even traumas that you normally don't have access to because of your ego defenses. There's a way to access things that you just can't access. It's similar to the difference between a waking state and a dream state. It's just it's a different state of consciousness.
Right.
So.
Wow. So just like cannabis, which is in Schedule 1, these substances are not available. It must be so frustrating for you.
Yes.
Reading the research and knowing what you know.
It's frustrating. It's also heartbreaking. It's so many people are suffering, and the treatments we currently have available help some. The research is showing tremendous differences in how we can help people heal. The current research using MDMA-assisted psychotherapy to treat chronic and treatment-resistant PTSD, these people are suffering. I mean, 20, 30 years of being disabled and not able to function and just, living in these horrible states. And with the MDMA treatment, I believe it's 68% of the participants no longer even qualify for the diagnosis.
Wow, that is amazing. As someone who suffers from PTSD,
Right.
it's absolutely amazing because when you have PTSD, you're always looking for ways to reduce symptoms, to be able to do some things that are just too difficult to handle.
Right.
So it seems really criminal that wouldn't be available to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of people are working really hard to change that, and that's part of why I'm really interested in doing this work, but also it feels important to me to help educate people. There's a lot of misinformation about psychedelics, from the propaganda from the war on drugs. It's just not based on the science, so we need to know this is helpful. We need to make it available and accessible to people that need it.
What are some of the myths that are out there, would you say?
If you take psychedelic, you'll jump out the window.
Right. Have you heard that in school? Did you learn that in school?
No.
Oh, when I was
jump out the window.
Yeah.
in the 70s when I was going to school.
Yeah.
They definitely told us
Absolutely.
that.
I still remember the scene from the film they showed us in health class.
Yeah.
One of the important things in using these clinically, therapeutically, is to pay attention to what's called set and setting. So it's not just taking it and going out. I mean, although people do that, recreationally, there's that. But this is, you'll have somebody sitting with you and supporting you in your process. And so that we can manage that risk. You're not going to go and walk out in front of traffic or jump out the window if somebody's sitting there with you.
And another myth that I can think of that I was taught in health class is that it would change your DNA.
Yeah, there's no data to support that.
Right.
And we have a lot of evidence to show that it's absolutely non-toxic. It doesn't alter our DNA or, So.
Right. And for people who don't know, MDMA, what is the street name for?
Well, ecstasy and Molly. This is pure MDMA. Often what is available on the street is not necessarily pure. It's very common for things to be mixed with other substances. So,
just like when I was growing up and people put angel dust in the cannabis, it is, when things are black market, it's not just that it's not available to everyone or that you can get arrested. It's also can be damaged and not really the true substance.
Exactly. And that's another thing we can control for when these become available legally. With prohibition, if people want to access these, that's the only way they can. And so there's that risk of not knowing exactly what you're getting.
What are your thoughts about microdosing psilocybin or mushrooms?
Yeah. So even though these aren't legal yet, people do them, and people have found ways to do them, to use them. So this is something I come across quite often in my practice, is people who are experimenting with microdosing, whether that's LSD or psilocybin. I'm not a researcher and I'm not collecting data, but anecdotally, I've seen some positive benefits. It's a sub-perceptual dose, so it's not something you feel altered when you take. I've heard people say, I'm just a little less depressed. I'm a little more able to be present, little more productive and focused, less ruminating on negative thoughts. Hey, I noticed it's a nice day today. It's just these subtle shifts in awareness. And I've seen people, not recommending this without talking to your doctor, but I've seen people reduce or even stop pharmaceutical medicines that they're taking because their symptoms improve.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't make that as a recommendation,
Sure.
but if people make that decision themselves to try something, because those drugs come with so many side effects, everything from lack of sexual drive to gaining weight to things that could make you more depressed, really.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me even. But I know for some people it helps them, especially if people are suicidal or, can be helpful. But
Sure, absolutely.
these alternatives could be less harmful, though we've all been taught that they're more harmful.
Right.
It just makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you started a foundation here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the Holos Foundation. I think we talked about that in more depth last time you were here. I'd love an update to what's going on.
We are now the Holos Foundation for Transpersonal Healing. We're now a 501c3 nonprofit. We have
Congratulations.
Thank you. Local board of directors, and we are working to raise funds to offset the cost of treatment for patients or clients who will eventually be able to use these medicines. The treatment is going to be very labor intensive, so that's going to be cost prohibitive for some clients. It's a lot of hours of therapy up front, 42 hours actually, and it's a male-female, or they don't have that requirement anymore. It's a co-therapy pair, so it's 2 therapists for that many hours over the course of several months. Anyway, so that's expensive, and we don't want that to be prohibitive for people that need it. So we're looking to help raise funds for that, and also to help train the therapists to be able to do that work. That's also a need that we have here, is to have more therapists trained in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I saw, when we watched From Shock to Awe back a couple of years ago, they showed someone receiving that treatment. Someone was kind of sitting behind them, kind of, being comforting, while someone else was in front. And I would imagine it takes a lot of time and effort and trust building to get to that point.
Yes. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So where is the government with the FDA with approving the MDMA?
Yeah,
treatment?
that's a great question. It's coming along very well. The clinical trials are currently in phase 3, and they're going really well. So well, in fact, that they have applied for what's called expanded access under the Compassionate Use Act. Because it's going so well and so many people are suffering, they've requested to allow people to have access even while they're waiting on the final completion of the phase 3 data.
Wow. I know that the current administration, well, I don't agree with most things they do. I did notice that, I think that was an act that was passed in the last few years. If the Compassion Act, is that something fairly new?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit older. There may
maybe,
be another one that sounds familiar. I think Right to Try, maybe?
Right, the right to try. Yeah.
So at any rate, the FDA did approve expanded access just a few weeks ago, actually.
Nice.
But unfortunately, a concession they made, MAPS made in those negotiations for approval, was that they're starting with only 50 patients. So they want to go slow and make sure, okay, is this still safe? Are we still looking at the same results when we when we let other people try this as the results the researchers are getting. And so 50 patients will get to access this.
50 nationwide?
Nationwide.
Well, that's small
Yeah,
sample. Yeah.
yeah. So a little disappointed because I was hoping to be able to do that here.
Right.
Hoping we still will, but first they have to complete these first 50 patients. If things go well, then hopefully it can expand from there. But full FDA approval and rescheduling is anticipated as soon as phase 3 is finished.
Wonderful.
And that could be in the next year or two.
Right. And so you're also planning an event here.
Yes.
To do some teaching around all of this.
Yes, a couple different things. I'm hoping to have a consultation group for local therapists that want to learn more about this work, and also an integration group for clients that are doing psychedelic work on their own. Leading up to that, we're hoping to have a conference here, a regional conference at Mount Sequoia.
Excellent.
September 11th through 13th. I say we're hoping to, we are.
You are doing it, yes. Yes.
And we're hoping to attract some speakers from the national psychedelic, researchers and advocates and indigenous healers and then also, other local people that are doing healing work. So we hope to have a place where people can come and learn more about this and connect with other people that are interested in this work.
That's so great. And people can come. People who are listening and watching from other parts of the country may be interested in coming.
Absolutely.
In September. And I just love Northwest Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, you see these innovative things happening. So thanks so much for joining us. So where can people find you?
So on Facebook, I have a page for Holos Counseling and also for the Holos Foundation. And then our website is holosfound.org.
holosfound.org.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Next up, we'll be in the Green Zone. In the Green Zone today, our guest is Ryan Kenaga. Ryan is a native of Fayetteville, Arkansas, where he currently resides with his wife and daughters. After growing up in Fayetteville, he attended the University of Arkansas. Ryan has been involved with the medical cannabis industry for many years, and he's been very active in consulting with newly formed Arkansas and Oklahoma cannabis business owners and lawmakers. Ryan is currently the Director of Operations for Terpenetics, a medical cannabis processing company. He's also the National Sales Director for Holos Botanica, a hemp processing and product company that has 5 PhD Chemists and Formulators on staff and operates an FDA Inspected facility. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great. The last time I met you, you were in my living room.
Yes.
It was
very informal, but very comfortable.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I learned a lot from that meeting. One of the things that I love about what you're doing is combining hemp with other botanicals, other plants to enhance the medical value, really.
Sure.
So what exactly is processing? People talk about processors, and I don't know that everyone really knows what that means,
Yeah, so processing is it's a process of following guidelines or rules or a set of standards to reach a final product. It could be a bulk product or a finished good product, but it is basically a standard of operating procedures to reach an end goal.
So someone else is growing the plants, and then you take those plants and process them into something else.
Absolutely, yes. We in Arkansas, we work on the hemp side of things. We work with quite a few hemp farmers in the state. We take their botanicals that they grow on their farms, we take them and process them down into an oil form. And from that oil form, we can do some different post-processing extraction methods to turn that into a powderized form, a crystalline form.
Oh.
We can remove the THC completely out of a CBD distillation process. And we can even get down into what's called chromatography, where we can separate single cannabinoids. We can take a full spectrum cannabis oil, remove the Delta 8, remove the Delta 9, the CBGs, the terpenes. We can, through flash chromatography, divide and separate each one of the cannabinoids for its different uses.
It's quite a science.
Absolutely. It is,
My mind
absolutely.
is like blown of like, oh my, like, I'm just picturing like people like with tweezers like picking out. Like,
Is that what happens? You just have tweezers?
It is. We do have a full lab analysis. Being GMP certified, when you come into our lab, any of the botanicals that we take from our farmers will go into quarantine and sit into quarantine for 72 hours so that we don't bring anything infectious into the facility.
Oh, okay.
From then, we will start weighing and processing it down into individual batches. But yeah, when we get into chromatography and things like that, it's a lab like you would see in any medical lab with white coats and hairnets, everything else.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And so I know cannabis works best, with the entourage effect, kind of having all different cannabinoids. But what's the advantage of being able to separate them out?
Yeah, great question. So when we make what we refer to as our medicine, we believe in a full plant extract. That would leave the minor cannabinoids, your minor THC Delta 9, your acidic form of your THCA. All of that is going to stay in the plant for the full entourage effect. We do believe that the THC does have medicinal value as well. The reason we go into chromatography and distillation is to separate some of those things out, because some of the workforce industries believe in the full cannabinoid profile, but they simply can't have THC in risk of their job or something like that. So we will take the full spectrum oil and remove every bit of THC out of it, which opens up that product line for use with our law enforcement officers, our CDL drivers and truck drivers across the country.
Or medical people.
And medical
Weirdly
individuals.
enough.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
I know when I'm going to the dispensary, I look for certain cannabinoids based on the conditions I have, and the bud tenders here have been pretty knowledgeable. Have you found that in the dispensary? They kind of
Yes.
know, like I'm looking for CBG, I'm looking for THCA even, and some places it's hard to find those things, or it's more expensive.
Absolutely.
Why would it be more expensive?
A lot of that has to do with the post-extraction methods and the refinements to separate those single cannabinoids. But then a lot of it also has to do with popularity. This past year, we had a major influx of CBD hemp plant across the country. There was a lot left in the fields that could not be processed. There was so much that was grown. So what that did was kind of open up the market for CBG to be popular.
Right.
So it went from a CBD distillate to what else can we do to move this product? CBG is very, very beneficial. It's your gamma cannabinoids, which helps with your sleep.
Right.
And then you said in the A form, the acidic form, your CBDA, that's fantastic for diabetes.
It really
in the A form,
is.
yes.
I miss it. So when in Massachusetts, I had many people connected with Bulldozer Health who were donating product. We could gift it in Massachusetts, THC or not. We could gift it to patients. So, and then they would also ask me what I needed to be helpful, and I had this supply of THCA, and I had so much less pain. Diabetes was in control, and but here, anyone that does have it, it's pretty expensive.
It's very rare here. The market's still new. They're very limited on processing facilities in the state.
By law, right?
By laws, yes, by laws and regulations. So the experimental stages in Arkansas industry just haven't got there yet. They're just trying to provide for patients right now.
Right.
So.
And in Oklahoma, things are a little different.
Oklahoma is definitely different. It is taken off. We have a company out of Oklahoma where we make products called Terpenetics. We provide products to over 200 dispensaries in the state of Oklahoma. It's just a different aspect over there.
Right. The law is so much more liberal.
The laws are definitely more user friendly over there. It is. It's a great thing that they've done in Oklahoma.
Right. I know. I think we ran into the CBG when we went and spoke in Oklahoma, remember? And you bought some cream.
Yes.
And it was amazing how it worked. I don't remember if it was for you or a family member. But.
Oh, it was, well, so I had got the, on the side of how expensive it all is. Like the little like tester thing I got was, I think,
It was like this big, I think.
Yeah, and that was like that was a pretty penny.
It was like $80 or something for that little.
No.
Wasn't it?
No, it was like $25.
Oh, was it? Oh, all right.
Or maybe it was higher. I don't know.
It was higher.
He gave me a discount, but it was still too much. Yeah. And then for the big jar, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, and that's new industry. That's new industry. Everybody's trying to kind of stake their claim and get in where they can and figure out what products they're going to carry, which ones they're not going to carry. So I think you'll see it across the board. Prices will come down eventually.
Yeah, I think they will. Even the dispensary prices here are starting to come down a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they always have deals.
Yeah, they do.
The quality of the medicine being provided in the state is also going up. So.
Right. Thank goodness.
Yes.
So I love it that you also add other plants, because plant medicine encompasses so many things. And one of the products that you had me sample has curcumin or turmeric and frankincense and CBD. And what I loved about it is, with some pharmaceuticals, you can take the pill and it'll work, in an hour. With a lot of the plants, it takes a little while to adjust. But this actually worked the first time I took it. I couldn't believe it.
That's great news. We get that feedback a lot, and reason being is we hold a patent in bioavailability. So we actually. I won't get too much into it, but we can bypass the liver and with a certain cannabinoid profile that we have and deliver straight to the cannabinoid system. So a lot of the times when people are taking hemp extract oils or CBD oils, you're only getting about 40% max absorption rate through your liver because the body is 80% water,
Right.
So what we did is we were able to bind our cannabinoids to a protein scaffolding, which would deliver directly to the intercannabinoid system and bypass the liver.
Well, it seems to work, at least for me. I know every body is different, but it's
it is. That's a product that we put together. We do a lot of turmeric and curcumin work with a lot of our products. The reason we do that is for the anti-inflammatory purposes. We have found that it is by combining the whole organic frankincense that we import over from Israel with our Oklahoma and Arkansas grown hemp extract, we've been able to see a lot of reduction with our opioid patients in pain clinics. So we make these products for specific networks, and we have physician networks that we push the products through. And we've found that they really do help. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And so where can people find you, and if they're looking for the products, where can they do that?
Yeah, we're Holos Botanica. We're holosbotanica.com. You can find us on the web. You can Google search us. We're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. I think we should have you back in a while because you have so many other things we could talk about.
I could do this all day.
Yeah. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Next up, our musical segment.
Our musical guest today is a surf rock band about to tour their new album, In a Natural State. This is their third appearance on the show. It's my favorite band. Please give it up for Makin Loaf.
I am scared.
pays your rent. Pays your rent.
Pays your rent.
Pays your rent.
Pays your rent.
Pays your rent.
So I'm back to the grind. Back to the same old. Back to the grind. Before I get too old. Back to the grind. Back to the same old. Back to the grind. Before I get too old, I need to see the things that keep us living. I need to see the things that keep us living out our lives. So I'm back to the grind, back to the same old, back to the grind. Before I get too old, back to the grind at a time. Back to the same old, back to the grind. Before I get too old. Early in the morning, she wants to go out, but she's stuck inside, so she loses her mind. Runs against the hardwood floor, trying to destroy the door in hope for revolution to change her fate. She was made to hunt small prey. 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 She has too much energy for me. I can't help but feel myself suffocating. She can't keep me outside any more than I can keep her in. Oh, I try to explain, but I just can't win. Just know I still love you. I still love you.
She was made to hunt small prey. She was made to hunt small prey. She was made to hunt small prey. She was made to hunt small prey.
Love that one. Always great to see you, Sarah. You're such a wonderful community member, all of you. It's great to see you here back on the show.
Yes, so one thing I've got to ask about that I noticed back there, there's stuff taped to your drums.
It's an important part.
Y'all should, when you like travel with them, you should tape like bread to it.
That's a good idea.
Little like thing. Just for just for the joke of it, you know. I don't know if that would work the same way,
I could probably make it work.
but
The guy just loves your jokes so much.
That's funny. Austin, I
thought it was
always love
actually-
watching your little dance when you play. It's
You gotta have
Such a
fun,
good
right?
dancer.
he is. It's really
Oh, that's
unique. Yeah, I love
He's a
it.
great dancer.
I love it.
You really are a good dancer.
So you have released your first album.
Yes, our
Yes.
first album.
So
Finally.
excited about that. And where can people find it?
You'll be able to get it physical copy
Here in town in Fayetteville.
here in town in Fayetteville, places where we play shows. If
Yes.
we're playing a show near you.
Awesome.
Come check us out and buy the album.
Yes, we want people to go out and watch live music, so that's wonderful. They can pick one up while they're there.
Yes.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have CDs, and then we'll be online in March.
Oh, in March. Great. Wonderful. So it's a little teaser here.
Yeah.
They have to go to a show to pick it up until then.
Until then,
Yeah, but it's not that far
You
away.
get to
Yeah.
listen to
So
it.
it's just a early release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some better word for it.
You can have it first. If you go to a show, pick one up.
Please.
Yes. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for your support, Wendy. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
And Topher.
Yes.
I do what I can.
What a great show it's been.
What a great show.
So much information. And I want to introduce, this is Susanna. She's our new intern. Yeah. So, so much information. I feel like it was packed today with all
Yes.
kinds of, especially plant stuff, which I
Yes.
love.
A lot of
course.
holos was thrown around
Yes,
today.
absolutely. So we wouldn't be here without our sponsors, so I think we should probably name them now.
Yes. Caris Healthcare,
NWA Natural Living,
Purely Natural CBD,
Highlands Residential Mortgage,
CBD American Shaman Kava Bar and Yoga.
and Lit Smoking Supplies. Many thanks to Bites and Bowls. The food was delicious today, wasn't
Yes.
it? Yes.
And Hair Extensions by Miss J.
We'll catch you next week. He's been Topher.
And she's been Wendy.
Bye.
Bye.
Wendy, Topher, lots of love. That show